Hello, Targar friends. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again, it is time for another Orc Mode workout. And today was Max Effort Squat Day, lower day, whatever we want to call it. I'm reasonably happy with today's numbers. And just a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And reach down there and click like on my two previews on the two training maxes for the day. I didn't go 100% on this. However, I can tell based on the rep work and this and everything else, I probably have a PR in the tank on this bar. Last PR I hit with straight weight on this bar is 518. It is by far my weakest bar. Very, very, very few lifters can actually squat as much with this bar as they can with most other bars. Okay, very few. And if they can, they may have a muscle weakness happening, because I know some really elite guys who have a 100-pound disparity between this. So, pretty happy with it, but the goal, as I've said, if I want to get to a 700 back squat, I need to get this thing up to at least 600, probably higher. But the realistic goal is to get to 600. And why am I doing that? Well, because really with this bar I only had about a 420. I've put almost 100 pounds on it within a few months. Again, bringing up my weak links, and I'm training those weak links. This bar represents my weakest links in squats. Okay. So we need to put another 80 pounds on it, and then we'll work from there. But we need to do that this year. That needs to happen this coming year in 2021. Then I decided to ramp up to max on the good morning with this exercise. Sorry guys, getting a little thoughtless here. So decided to do this bar, and I'm going to rotate through my two different bars, try to get PRs, and I'll do these with bands and chains and whatever else I have to do, just like I'm doing with the different bars. I eventually want to squat on all of my bars this way. As my shoulder health continues to improve and we work on it, we'll go back to some straight bar. Right, we'll go back to some straight bar, but in the meantime I can do my building with these. I will probably never do rep work with the straight bar. There's no point. I only need to max on it. These bars are easier on the shoulder. Way easier on the shoulders in general. So I'm going to tend to use the safety squat and the cambered bar. But as far as the good mornings go, these are definitely what I'm going to use, because again, I'm going to be doing a lot of good morning volumes, but I need to have maxes to program off of. And I ended up doing 401, and it was tough. It was relatively hard. I could have maybe gotten a little more, but we want to leave a little in the tank. These are training maxes. And when I did my rep work here later, that let me know that was probably harder than I thought, because I struggled with the rep work with this today. Now, for those of you who enjoy watching me suffer, we took our previous max and I did 5 sets of squats. I was planning on doing 5 sets of good mornings, but I think at 70%, I'm not going to be able to do 5 sets. I'm going to have to do some higher rep work with a different percentage. It still puts me in the effective rep zone. But the squats, running these at 70% of that 518, the first 3 sets were hard, right? These were hard. I felt like I had a rep, maybe 2 reps in the tank, maybe. And that's about right. The 4th set, you guys will notice when I get to that 4th set, I'm like dying. I'm dying. I had to pause before I even got from under the bar. I had to hold onto the bar when I walked over. I was like lightheaded. The first 3 sets didn't do that. Now they lit my quads up, and they really, really hammered my middle back and upper back. So my whole T-spine area, lower traps, mid traps, all of that just get crushed with this bar. But my quads do too, interestingly enough. But it doesn't seem to hit as hard as things like my low back and my glutes and all that, which are really my strongest muscles. Right? In my entire body, my glutes and my lower back, spinal erectors, are probably the strongest muscles in my entire body. Hands down. So it doesn't matter, because I'm still training them with other stuff. I'm not worried about using a bar for most of my volume that de-emphasizes my strongest muscles, because I'm still hitting them with other work. And because we're forced to use a lighter weight on my weakest bar, it's actually quite interesting on the recovery side. So a lot of days I'll do this. So I think what I'm probably going to do, it's going to be to use this bar for all my rep work other than my cambered bar days. On my cambered bar days, because I want to do cambered bar good mornings also, I'll go ahead and do my squats with it. But if I'm running, say, 3 different bars in the rotation, I can do 2 out of my thirds with this and then do a third of my squatting with the cambered bar. Do 2/3 of it with this one. And that'll work out very nicely for continuing to bring up my weak links. Right? We know that middle and upper back. And I don't mean lats there, guys. A lot of people are seeing the lats and they're like, well, you got big lats. I mean, I have a big upper back. I mean, realistically, I can squat 518 with this bar. And that represents my weak link. I am horribly weak compared to my other lifts. Perspective. You're not going to have a weak upper back relative to 99% of the population who trains hard, including even probably competitive powerlifters, and still squat that with this bar. I can tell you right now, it meets the majority of people who compete in powerlifting will never touch 500 pounds with this bar, and that's just a fact. So it's not like my upper back is weak. It's weak relative to where I need it. It's weak relative to my other muscles. So that's what we mean by weak. And we have to fix that weakness. We have to correct it. But my God, 5 sets with this bar at 70%, which ended up being 361. So we do 70% of 580, which is pretty close to a 10 rep max for someone who maxes out. And yes, that's very consistent. Again, for people who max, the only time you see people doing, well, I can do 15 or whatever, well, you don't max out. So therefore your max is really, really, really weak. People who max out regularly, you're not going to get those same numbers. We're getting very close to 10 rep maxes. So this got real hard, real fast. And on the final set, I could only get 8 reps. I had to rest pause the last couple reps on set 4. And that may be this set here. In fact, I think it is. And you guys will notice at the end of the set that I'm killing over. Like I'm struggling to breathe. I'm getting lightheaded. You know, and this stuff will test your conditioning. I mean, doing 5 sets of 10 on squats with a challenging weight that's pretty well close to your 10 rep max, that will challenge you. That will challenge you cardiovascularly. But yeah, I was definitely feeling it. And because I'm doing all this, I've dropped most of my GPP. I'm just doing regular endurance work and list cardio just for general health, general energy turnover, all of those things. And so I can save the recovery for all the squatting and all this heavy lower body work I'm doing, really the heavy volume. I mean, heavy being relative to your rep range. But when I can get this to 5 sets of 10, it's like I've said on other lists, if you can do 5 sets of 10 at 70%, it's not 70% anymore. So the fact that I got 4 sets of 10 and even got 8, I already know I can PR with this bar. So we probably need to do that relatively soon. And then we'll rotate back through all the bands and chains. So, you know, coming up, we may go ahead and try a PR, but I'm going to try to squat with a couple other bars in between. So it's going to be, you know, over a week before we try it. But yeah, they were hard, super hard. So much so that my whole middle back, and by middle back, I don't mean lats, I mean middle and lower traps. I mean my erectors. I went 9 pounds lighter than 70% of that good morning because it was just easy. I didn't want to round and add more plates. I'm like, this will work because I think this is going to be hard. Those squats took so much out of my back. These were really hard. I couldn't even get multiple sets of 10. Now, caveat here. This is the heaviest 10 rep set I have ever done with this barbell on this lift. So, this represents a rep PR. I have never done 271 for 10. You guys have seen me do 241 for 3x10 the other day. Okay, so I went up 30 pounds. But I was hoping today I could get 5x10. Yeah, not after all the squatting. And we're risking, if I had done a 4 set, we're risking junk volume. Why? Because this is already a hair under 70%. Okay? This weight on this bar represents around what should, in theory, if I was fresh, be a 12 rep max. You have to get at least 8 reps with that to get any training stimulus. To get any effective volume, you've got to hit 8. Now, I got 10, 9, and then 8. Had I gone for another set, I probably would have dropped under 8. Now, people who say, but if it's failure, you're still hitting it. No, that's not how it works. That's bullshit. That is lazy people training who don't understand training programming. Just because you hit muscle failure on a set doesn't mean that you stimulated anything. If you were too fatigued for your upper threshold fibers to be available again, you're not stimulating them by hitting failure. You're just hitting your endurance fibers. So we reached that point where I'm just like, that's it. I've reached all I can get from effective reps. Right? I almost tripped there over my chains. I just didn't have anything left, guys. And we saw it even on that one with 9. And then this one I got 10. And I went to, even after the 8th rep, sorry, I didn't get 10, I got 8. After the 8th rep, I remember thinking, I can't get another one. Like I went to try to break at the knees just for a hair, and then my body just said, nope. And it was my back. Now, I felt a lot of hamstring on the early reps, so I'm getting some good hamstring work. I don't want people to think that there's no hamstring work, but my back is giving out. My back is fatigued from those squats with this bar. So I've pretty much reached the threshold of my whole middle and upper back. This is all it can handle. Doesn't have anything left. But we're pushing it to the bleeding edge. So what does that mean? It means it's going to get bigger and stronger. And as it gets bigger and stronger, we'll be able to increase work capacity. But the name of the game for now is going to be work capacity. You guys saw it on my lower day. You're going to see it here on the upper day. Man, I just keep saying stuff wrong today. I apologize, guys. I am so tongue-tied. We're just going to roll with it, though. So that's all I could handle. I really was hoping to get 5 sets, but again, sometimes you've got to look at it and realize I'm not doing it myself any good at that point. Those squats took it out of me. So basically, I got one really good set that was where I wanted it. I was hoping to get 5 by 10, and a couple of weaker sets. Now, that being said, we still got some effective training out of it. And it's still real good work because those are rep PRs. I've never hit even 8 before with that weight. So 10, 9, 8, I'm happy with it. And like I said yesterday, we're going to start doing axle bar rows on lower day. Now, why am I not going to do it on upper day? It's too fatiguing to the grip because I'm going to deadlift on some of these days. And I don't want to get into the habit of fatiguing my grip before a day where I might deadlift. This is the harder of my grip work. This is true grip work. Like my grip is struggling. It's fighting. My forearms are burning. My forearms are burning. And my extensors are. I don't mean the upper forearm necessarily. Oh, that's getting hit. But with this weight, I got 5 sets of 15. Then I think I got a 16th rep on the last one. So again, building more upper back. Yes, this means I am doing a lot of rowing, but I'm having to split it up over 4 days to make it work. And I'm hitting 3 different movements with a different focus. So this hits less lat, hits a little more upper back, more grip than the others, wherein the others hit a lot of upper back with a slightly more emphasis towards lats, towards biceps. It's all the same muscles are being worked, but with a different emphasis. I think we can split them up in the days and get away with it on the recovery end. But again, I am exceeding my normal volume recommendations for rowing. I tend to do relatively well on that. If I do stuff like these sort of rows with the axle bar to where the grip starts to become the limiting factor. But I need the grip training. I need the extra rear delt work. I need the trap work. And this fits the bill. It will help continue to thicken those areas up, which I need for shoulder health purposes. It also gets me to a point to where my pulling volume for my back is 50% higher than all my pressing volume. Okay? I need those muscles better balanced. I need them better balanced for injury prevention and shoulder health. So I have basically one set of muscles that we are exceeding normal volume recommendations, but it's only one. And it's the ones that I think are going to give me the most longevity for my training. It's going to give me the most shoulder health improvement. And I think it represents something that will bring up several of my big lifts. And this will bring my deadlifts up. Because my deadlifts, I'm way stronger than I need to be on my lower body. I've assessed it at this point. My glutes, hamstrings, low back, they're stronger than any deadlift you guys have seen me pull. My middle back, my upper back, and potentially even my grip could be limiting me at this point. And so we're going to row in good morning to build those up. Doesn't mean we skip on the reverse hypers. But when we get to the reverse hypers here, I think you guys will notice I reduced the weight and I'm trying to control it a little more. I'm going back with Clint Darden's recommendations. He and I have talked about this in private a few different times. I like Clint. I've known him for many years. He's a great guy all the way around. He's one of those guys, look, people can hate on me all they want. You can't find any reason to hate Clint Darden. You can't. He is non-controversial in any way. The only thing he cares about is being strong, being a good dad, surviving chemo, which he's gone through a couple times, and still saying, hey, I'm going to deadlift over 700 pounds after chemo. And he's positive and supportive to everyone. Everyone. So I would say to anyone who, okay, maybe some of you guys think you have good reasons to hate on me. You don't have a reason to hate on someone like Clint. You just don't. You can't find a reason. Sorry, he's the friendliest, nicest guy you will ever meet. Doesn't say anything bad about anybody ever. He just wants to see people get strong. Okay? And he just tries to be a good father and a good husband. You can't hate that. Unless you think he's fat. I guess the bodybuilders think he's all fat. Who cares? Who cares? I'm not even getting into what I think about them. So, again, based on the math that Clint gave me, if I just try to stay relatively strict and use these angles, this is pretty similar to how he does it. If I can get to, with this weight, the weight I've got on here now, 5 sets of 25, my low back and glutes should be strong enough to pull about 700. So I only got 5 sets of 20. I got 4 sets of 20, then I got 15. But that's because I did all the good mornings. But that matters. It doesn't mean, hey, can you get that reps and sets when you're fresh? It's like, no, can you do it at the end of a workout? I'm going to push good mornings really hard. Those good mornings put a lot of stress on my low back and everything. And to some extent, my hamstrings. I'm tired going into this, but we're going to build it up. We're going to continue to build it back up. Going to get it a little more controlled like I'm doing now. And I'm going to try to reach for those numbers. And technically, I need to add a hair more, because technically, if I do the math that Clint gives for the reverse hyper, if I can get 5 sets of 25 with this way, I'm technically 9 pounds under 700. That is assuming that any of that's my weak link. Okay? I don't think that it is. I think my back is more of a weak link. And I mean the middle back, upper back. I think that's what's limiting my deadlifts. So we're going to keep working on that, but we'll keep pushing this stuff too. That's the other thing. Just because you have weak links that you can identify doesn't mean you don't train and progress on your strong links either. They just take a lower priority, and I've got to just get generally strong. I mean, I need these to get stronger too. If I want a 700-pound squat and deadlift, I can't look at a muscle that's only good for 650 and say, well, if this muscle is good enough to hit 650, and this muscle's good enough to hit 600, I'm just going to work on the one that hits 600 and ignore the other. Well, no, you need to get both of them strong enough to get to 700. Right? All of your supplemental work needs to build the muscle tissue to get you there. And that is what we are going to do for a long time now. It's going to be maxes and volume, volume, volume. But effective, well-programmed, thought-out volume. Get that work capacity up. Focus on body composition, getting thicker, so that we have the muscle tissue in the right places to move the weights that I need to move. And that's the name of the game, guys. Mass moves mass. Or as I like to say, ass moves mass, particularly with the squat and the deadlift. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.